Welcome, baseball family. This week we're going to talk about warm fuzzies, ticket prices, contenders, pretenders, and panic or patience right now. 9 Plus Us presents the Baseball Together podcast with your hosts, Blackjack Brad and Kansas City Little Big Briggy Blue Eyes. And now, Baseball Together. Welcome, baseball family, to this week's episode of the Baseball Together podcast. I'm Brig. I'm back in action, and I got the Brad Master here himself. How are you, Mr. Brad?
I'm doing well. Had a good holiday. How are you today, Brig?
Man, it was a holiday. Emphasis on day.
Yeah.
But it was great. Overall, very, very awesome. So.
Good.
Yeah. Oh, but boy, I'm telling you, there's a lot of baseball stuff to talk about because there's a whole lot of baseball going on. And let's get into it. Are you ready?
Let's roll.
Let's start with some current events. Marcus Stroman, he tossed a complete game one-hitter versus the Tampa Bay Rays. That is basically the only reason this is relevant, but let's get into it.
Yeah,
Wander Franco is the only guy to have recorded a hit against Stroman in the Cubs, but specifically Stroman. He got it on a clean single up in the seventh inning. Stroman delivered 105 pitches, which is a season high mark for him, and 8 Ks, 8 strikeouts in the game. That's also a season high for him in this 2023 campaign. That was his fourth career complete game and his second career shutout. Congratulations to Marcus Stroman on the pitching, clinic he put on, but specifically, as I said, because he did it against the Rays.
Right. I think what's going on here, Brig, is that the Rays busted out 15 hits against the Dodgers on Sunday, so they all need to get new bats. There are no hits left in the bats that they brought with them, so it's time to snap the ones they have, give them away, give them to a kid, something. Just get rid of those bats because there are no hits left in them, and go on to the next one in their locker or whatever, wherever they keep the bats.
Yeah. Here's the real question though: Do they also need to replace the hats for their bats, or can they keep those and move them over?
I think they can keep the hats for their bats.
That's really important. You want to keep the mojo going, okay? And maybe it's the hats because bats get cold.
They do get cold, and they only have so many hits in them.
That's
right?
True.
Like that's the thing is like I'm serious when I say that those bats have no hits left in them.
Yeah.
Go get yourself new bats, and the Rays are going to be right back at it tomorrow. So Cubs, look out.
Yeah, exactly. But congratulations to Stroman on his wonderful and what certainly will be a short-lived victory. Okay, Major League Baseball warned the Brewers to get their stadium fixed. This is fabulous because it's when Major League Baseball swings a hammer, boy, they come down hard. It is like the U.S. government wanting their money back. And that is exactly how this feels. So American Family Field needs an estimated $448 million in repairs. And so far, there has not been an ultimatum in place as far as timelines. However, as I said previously, the leniency leash is going to be pretty short, I think, on getting this done. So I think if they don't have a multi-year plan in place very quickly, then Major League Baseball is going to be upset.
I think they will. And I think a big part of it is because of what happened to the stadium in Oakland, right? Because that used to be a great stadium once upon a time, but now it clearly is not. And we've seen what it takes to get a new stadium anywhere. And honestly, that stadium's only, I think they said 22 years old.
Yeah, it's not that old.
It shouldn't be a crap hole already. I'm sorry.
No, I agree with you.
So, yeah.
Okay.
It's interesting. But Brig, my question for you though is, they reference the A's. Do you think that baseball will ever leave Milwaukee? Do you think that they would end up being like, nope, that's it, we're out?
Well, I hope not, because it's in a gorgeous location right now. It is. Oh yeah, it's it's in a fabulous location. So I hope they don't ever change the location. It'd be okay if they tore this one down, renovated it or whatever, or even built something nearby. But the way where it sits right now is it's a really cool spot. So at least visually, I don't know like what the
Yeah.
part of town is that looks like,
Right.
but
Yeah.
anyway, the point is, I mean, Atlanta did it, and if you had asked me that about Atlanta, I'd have told you no way.
Well,
But
what I mean by baseball leaving Milwaukee is Tennessee.
oh, oh,
Do you think they would relocate the Brewers
oh,
if they don't get their act together?
oh, I hope not.
I don't think they would.
I don't think so, but I don't like
Because I
your
don't.
tone, Brad.
Well, I'm just. It's just an interesting thought because that's stuff that I've heard brought up over the last few days because they specifically referenced the A's. Right? They didn't say like we'll relocate you, but they're just like, look what happened there. I don't think they would. I think that the Brewers obviously want to be in Milwaukee. I don't think the A's wanted to be in Oakland. Like they've been trying to get out of there for years, right?
Yeah, no,
And rather than putting money into a stadium, they were just like, we're just gonna leave. We're just gonna leave. So I think that's a big difference. But the thing that is crazy to me is, like I said, that they let it get so bad so fast that like there was no initiative in place to update it because T-Mobile Park is 24 years old now, opened in 99. And they've already gone through and done a ton of updates to that stadium because they specifically said, I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago, they're like, we want this to be a 100-year-old stadium. We want it to be Fenway Park in 100 years, Wrigley Field in 100 years. Like we want it to be around for that long. And I think part of that is where else are you going to put it?
Yeah, right.
So there's that. But it was really cool hearing the Seattle Mariners organization like putting a lot of pride into their stadium, and it would be nice if the same thing was going on with American Family Field because it certainly isn't going on to Phoenix.
Yeah, I was going to say it'd be nice if everybody did it, right? That's I don't think this is an issue that is limited to only one ball club,
right? Because in Phoenix, they're like, rather than fixing the roof and making updates, we just want a new stadium out west of town, which I would be super happy about because that's just down the street for me. But at the same time, though, like, take care of where you live, man.
Yeah, that's what I think.
That's the thing that's weird to me.
In the military, we always said you should always be improving your fighting position, right? And sometimes that meant aesthetics, and sometimes that meant cover and concealment, and sometimes that meant comfort. And it means all kinds of different things, but you should always be making improvements to your current position, always.
Yeah.
So,
and
it's a mindset I don't understand.
Different. Yeah, I don't get it either.
Let's move on to transactions because the odyssey of Gary Sanchez has taken another turn, and we don't understand. So the Mets, first of all, so he played for the Mets for like a half a day, and then he was claimed off waivers. The Mets picked him up. Then he signed a big league contract with the Padres suddenly, and that makes no sense. So
here, let me tell you, the only thing that does make sense, Brig, is that at the catching position, the Padres are really weak. Austin Nola is not a great catcher,
which is weird because last year he was not a bad catcher,
right? And he's still not like he's serviceable, but I think last year the Padres knew that they needed to upgrade then as well, but they didn't. They have this kid. So they have this kid in their system. He's like 17 years old, and he got into a spring training game. It's a huge deal because it might have even been 16 during spring training. And he's supposed to be like a stud, supposed to be like really, really good.
Right?
Yeah. But he's obviously not ready because he's not even an adult yet.
Whatever.
Right. Yeah. So they're like, we just got to like plug this hole until we can bring him up in like 3 years. And so I think that they're just trying to bring in bridge catchers. And I don't know if Gary Sanchez is actually going to catch or if he's just going to DH because they're also dealing with some injuries because Manny Machado's on the IL for the first time since 2014. So I don't know what's going on. It's a huge deal. It feels like a really desperate move by the Padres, though. Just be like, we have all this talent, but we're still not winning. We don't know what's going on. Let's try to fill every hole that might be the problem.
Well, and not only that, but Gary Sanchez comes cheap. So even
Oh,
if it's like, well, never mind. It's not going to be a big deal. It's going
well,
to
it's
be
as easy to
fine.
cut ties with him as the Mets made it, right? Like,
Yeah,
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 you were fine for a
exactly.
day, but
Thank
we don't need you.
you. Come again later. I don't know. Uh, so the White Sox have activated Eloy Jimenez. Brad, tell us about Eloy Jimenez.
I think they need his bat. The White Sox have been playing a little bit better recently, but they definitely need his bat in the lineup. The problem is that the dude just flat out has a hard time staying healthy. He and Luis Robert both. But I think having Eloy Jimenez in there right now is going to be really, really helpful for them. So
Yeah.
it'd be good for him.
The Rays have finally activated Tyler Glasnow, and this is a big deal because he is a good pitcher when he's on. He's really, really good.
Big time, yeah.
Yeah. So what they need from him is more than 0 games. I think is the biggest contributing
And
factor
that's the
to
thing
the
that's funny is because
situation.
the Rays are already really good without him, and it's like you bring him in, it's like great. Do you think you're going to get a
Oh
day off of
man.
the fifth guy in the rotation? Now you got Glass now back off the IL. Crap.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I wonder if he'll stutter step at all, or do you think he'll come right back and be swinging like a
Um,
major contributor?
I think he'll be fine. He can sling it, man. He's such a great pitcher. I really like Tyler Glasnow a lot. Part of it is I'm a little bit jealous of his hair, but another part of it is that like I think he's a great pitcher. Like
He's
I would
jealous
love
of
to
your
have that guy on
beard.
my team. Well, that maybe we'll trade. I don't know.
I bet you could get away with it. I'd love to see you with Tyler Glasnow here, man. That would,
Me too.
woo! Somebody with Photoshop skills, get on and do that, okay? Jump on somewhere. Give the Blackjack Brad needs some hair. All right. The Athletics have DFA'd Jesus Aguilar. And basically they don't have a clue what to do with anything, or they don't care about anything. And so we're going to spin our fancy little, see, this is my imaginary spinning wheel.
Okay.
We're going to play who needs a DH or who wants an extra first baseman. And you know who the first team I thought of was friggin' Houston. So
Hey, Jose
Houston
Brig, you
needs a
finally
first
hit a home
baseman.
run.
Oh, you kidding me? One.
Did you see that? Did you see the highlight of that? As
No.
soon as it went out, he picked up his pace and he sprinted around the bases. He touched home and didn't give anybody a high five until he sprinted into the dugout to celebrate with everybody. Like he had never hit a home run in his life. It was amazing. But yeah, they probably could use another first baseman or DH there. I said
I think
last week about
so.
Eric Hosmer, like I'd take that as a DH in Seattle. Taylor Trammell is DHing tonight, and I'm not super thrilled about it because he hasn't been putting together very good at bats lately. But then you got AJ Pollock as the other option. That's not a super great option either because he's batting under 200. So he's got 4 home runs and 2 of them came in one game.
Let's talk. Let's stay on the subject of first base DH options, and
okay.
talk about our favorite guy to. I mean, if you're look, I'm going to say this kindly. If you want just the most horrible story in Major League Baseball that I can think of off the top of my head right now, that's not Jacoby Ellsbury, it's going to be Luke Voigt. Actually, like this dude's life is rough, and he was just DFA'd by the Brew Crew. Who picks him up?
I don't know because he's hitting 221, which incidentally, that's exactly what Aguilar is hitting. But he has no home runs, 4 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, believe it or not, 4 walks, 27 strikeouts, an OPS of 548. The difference between Aguilar and Voigt, I think, is that Voigt comes with baggage. I think at this point, maybe he's matured and he's sorted things out. And I think he's probably been humbled considerably because he didn't even know if he was going to make the squad out of spring training.
No kidding.
With the Brewers, right? So there's I wonder if there's something there where he's just like, I just got to do whatever it takes to get on a team. I don't know,
Yeah.
but I think he'll land somewhere. There are enough teams dealing with enough stuff that need a guy who can swing the bat to some degree, and maybe, who knows, maybe he'll get out there and he'll get everyday reps and he'll improve. I don't know, because some guys, that's how some guys are. But
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think anybody brings him in on a big league contract, though. I think it's a minor league deal somewhere.
I think so too. So here's the problem. He played with the St. Louis Cardinals for 62 games in 2017, 47 games or so, or 8 games in 18. Then he was traded to the Yankees. He played for the Yankees in 18, 19, 20, and 21. And then it was some injuries. He had some injuries. And then 2022, he was not invited back by the Yankees. In 2022, he ends up with San Diego for 82 games, Washington 53 games, and then he's been with Milwaukee for approximately 22 games this season. Those are short tenures in not enough teams, or in too many teams.
Right.
So the faith you got to, like, what are you bringing into the clubhouse? Where's his headspace? What's he going to do to your dynamic? There's a lot of questions that you have to answer. And that's why I think you're right. I think you test him out on a minor league deal. And so I can see him playing for a AAA club, and while they sort out how they feel about him.
Right, and the thing that's interesting about bringing a guy in on a minor league deal is that, like, Mike Ford has been playing in AAA for the Mariners the entire year. He's been playing in AAA for several teams over the last few years.
Yeah,
and he rakes in AAA.
Mike Ford's a terrific, and he's not a bad first baseman.
Right, and if you have him on your AAA team, you've got a really good first baseman.
Yeah.
The problem is that you have him on your big league roster. You have a first baseman who can't hit.
Yep.
And I wonder if that's what's going to happen to Luke Voit. Is that he's going to be really good first baseman on some AAA team somewhere for however long he's willing to do it. Because if he gets on a big league team, you've got a first baseman who can't hit.
Whoa! I just had the best idea ever. You ready?
What's that? Yeah.
You know who should pick up Luke Voit is Oakland. They just DFA'd Jesus Aguilar. Like,
he'd fit right in.
Come on, give the guy a chance. I really like Luke Voit. I've always liked Luke Voit. I was sad to see
you
him
did
go.
like him when he was in New York. Yep.
Yeah, I thought he brought a lot of charisma and verve or whatever, and but Rizzo's better. So, like, I'm not
right,
sad, but
yeah. Currently, first baseman for the A's is Ryan Noda, and I think he just got called up when they DFA'd Aguilar. So
Aguilar, yeah. Okay, 2 more transactions, and then we're going to move on. Braves have activated Mike Soroka. This is his first time back in 3 years because he's torn his ACL like 17 times and shoulder inflammation like 400 times and a bad attitude problem that the doctors gave him pills for or whatever. And now he's finally going to be playing. So that's really exciting.
And so he pitched tonight. He went 6 innings, gave up 5 hits, 4 runs, struck out 3, walked 2 with 1 home run. The Braves are currently down 4-2. But yeah, I mean, for the first time pitching a big league game in 3 years, heck yeah, I'd take that.
Yeah.
The Braves.
There's some good things. I wouldn't be worried about that. Yeah, I wouldn't be worried about that. Okay, you ready for our most happiest warm fuzzy news ever?
Yeah.
The White Sox, not only are they playing a little better, which is great, but they have officially activated Liam Hendricks. And that is the news the world needed.
Yes, it is. That's fantastic.
So, baseball family, if you're new to the saga, Liam Hendricks was diagnosed with cancer, went through chemo, supported by the community, supported by the club. Everybody was on his team, beats cancer. And after 2 weeks after he was declared cancer-free, he's back on a mound, pitching again. He does a pretty good job. Good enough. Boom. Here we are. What is this, like 4 to 6 weeks after he was declared cancer-free?
Yeah, something like that. It's quick.
Holy
a lot sooner
cow.
than I would have thought.
Yeah. So congratulations to Liam Hendricks and to the White Sox fan base. And thank goodness for a supportive ball club. Like, bravo, Chicago.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
Yep. For sure.
Okay.
I love it. I'm so excited for that guy.
Brad's new favorite segment. It's called That's Baseball, Susan. And last week he explained to you what that meant. And I think it's fabulous because this is an inside joke Brad and I have been saying for years. That's Baseball, Susan. So this week, this installment of That's Baseball, Susan comes to you actually from Susan Waldman's home turf in the Yankees organization, okay? Here's what happened. The Yankees are playing the Padres in the Boogie Down. All right, they're in the Bronx. Ha-Sung Kim is on second base. Okay, Jose Azocar singles to center field. It's kind of shallow. Harrison Bader sprints off, gets it off the bounce, sprints on it, and then Crow hops and basically airmails it all the way home. It was like 300 feet above Higgy's head, above the catcher's head.
Seriously.
It wasn't that much, but it was a country mile over his head. He overthrew that incredibly. And the dude's got a hose, right? So it's Anyway, he got a little too excited and he threw the ball over the catcher's head. That's problem number one. Problem number two is that Garrett Cole pitching doesn't run to back up the catcher's position. That's what he's supposed to do. Is he there? No, he's not.
Somebody
finds out he's not. What?
I saw somebody on, I think it was on Facebook or Instagram. Somebody said they ought to be charging Garrett Cole admission because he's got the best seat in the house to watch that play unfold. Just watching, spectating, not doing what he's not working. Just watching.
He just stood there. So the ball's flying over the catcher's head. The catcher realizes he has no support. He freaks out, obviously, panics, and he runs to get the ball that's at the backstop. He grabs it, turns, and throws it to third base. The runner on second
threw it at third base.
The runner on second scored an hour ago at this point, okay? Jose Azocar is peeling around second base by the time the catcher gets the ball, and he's getting ready to slide into third base when the ball goes way over DJ LeMahieu's head at third base. And he just looked at it. He's like, well. Does the runner stop? No, he doesn't. He goes all the way around third base. And he scores a Little League home run.
So in left field at the time had to have been IKF, right?
I think it was.
Yeah, Isaiah Kiner for left field. But he was in left center when that ball was thrown. He never, I don't think ever in his, like in a million years would have thought that Higgy would have thrown that ball, much less to the foul pole. Right?
Exactly. So now the bases are empty. 2 runs scored on a Little League home run in the Boogie Down. Now, that's baseball, Susan, for sure. However, this is the best part. That the Yankees come back and run Yu Darvish completely out of town. After 2 2/3 innings, the Yankees come back in that third inning after this debacle, and they score 6 runs, and Yu Darvish is shunted from the field.
They scored 7 in the third.
Oh, I thought it was 6.
No, they scored 7 in the third after that.
7 in the third. Well, I think Yu Darvish gave up 6.
No, he gave up. He was responsible for all 7.
Oh, was he? Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Yanks went on to win the game 10-7, and that's baseball, Susan. And that's a day game.
That's the thing. Weird stuff happens in day games. The Rays and Dodgers, 11-10.
True.
Jeez,
so
man.
True.
I was watching that game. I got up and legit, I don't even know what I did. It's like I ran upstairs and it was a 2-1 game. I come back downstairs at 7-2. I wasn't even gone more than 5 minutes.
It's true.
Sunday afternoon baseball, man. It's so weird.
It's wild. So that's baseball, Susan, for the week. Our Shohei Ohtani news for the week is also very interesting. MLB executives who wish to have remained anonymous and continue to do so with impunity and we're all bothered by that, but they get away with it somehow. They have reported that the LA Dodgers are considered the clear front runner for the Ohtani trade in this free agency coming up at the end of the season. The next level down appears to be, as it's reported, a three-way tie between the Padres, the Mets, and the Yankees. And then the next tier after that, according to this anonymous MLB executive, is that the Mariners and the Cubs are the next team down in the running. Now, obviously, Brad and I have bandied this about a bunch. We've decided how we feel about it. But baseball family, where do you think he's going to end up? Like, seriously, where do you think he's going to end up? Not just because you're a fan of that club. Like, I'd love to see him in pinstripes, and I make that joke all the time. But I don't know for sure that he will actually be a Yankee, because whatever contract he's going to pick up is going to be for the remainder of his career. Nobody's going to ever let him go after this. And he's not going to want anything shy of absolute certain job security. And he deserves that. So my question to you, baseball family, is where do you think he legitimately ends up? We don't know.
So, right. And so here's something so Jewel and I were talking about this today, because we talk about this all the time as Mariners fans, that like, what's it going to take for Ohtani to come? Like, do we need to have like another deck added? Like, what do we need to bring Ohtani to Seattle? And one of the things that, as I was thinking about this, I was like, everybody's going to offer him basically the same amount of money, right? So it's not money is not going to be a thing, right? If they can. Anywhere, any of his final like suitors, or it's all going to be even money. I bet you.
I'll bet you're right.
So the difference is going to be their plan for usage for him. Is it going to be, we don't want you hitting on days you're pitching. We would love to have you hit on days you're pitching, but we want to give you a day off the day after you pitch so you can fully recover. Or we'll let you continue to DH the day after you pitch because you feel like if you feel good, you can go. But let us know how you feel and we'll go. Like, I think it's going to be how teams address that going forward. And then also being like, maybe towards the end of your career, you need to pick one. Right. And maybe he doesn't want to pick one. And somebody tells him that, he's like, no, that's not what I want.
Yeah.
So I think what it's going to come down to is how teams want to use him in the next couple of years and towards the end of his career, because like you said, it's going to be basically the last contract of his career. And so I think that he's going to have to find somewhere that feels like a match, feels stable, because I don't think it feels stable in Anaheim. Certainly doesn't feel nearly as stable as it did when he got there, or else he probably would have never gone.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think that's more what it's going to come down to. And I think, unfortunately, I hate to say it, I think the Dodgers are going to be able to put together a really good pitch for him.
They are.
Like, I hate to say it, but I think that's why they're the front runner.
Okay, I agree with everything you said, but I also think that culture is going to play a huge role. And that's where the Mariners do have a leg up on everything, especially with Ichiro. But I don't think a team like the Yankees is going to be able to loosen up all their rigid standards, all their this is what it means to be a Yankee, all that whatever, for him to feel like he can maybe make something of it or have a say or whatever. I don't see him as the kind of guy who is going to go into this part of his career wanting to be molded. I think he wants to do the molding, and I think that that's appropriate. But the Yankees aren't going to let him do it.
Right. Yeah, because the Yankees have their way. And one other thing with that is that, like, I think if he was going to go to the Yankees, he'd have gone there the first time. I'm shocked to see them on this list as high as they are. Same thing with the Mets, because he said before he didn't want to go to a big market. And I don't think that's changed, despite how well he plays at Yankee Stadium.
Man,
with that short porch, he rakes a Yankee
when
Stadium.
he pulls that ball hard. But I don't know. I think culture is going to be a big element of this. And baseball family, we're going to bring you all the latest. Obviously, we talk about it as often as possible because it is the most interesting story in all of baseball. But we don't know. But we want to know what you think. Let's talk about it. Jump in the comments and let us know. Okay, moving on. Spencer Strider has made Major League Baseball history. For those of you that don't know, he pitches for Atlanta. And he is now the first pitcher to reach 100 strikeouts this season, and he's the youngest, or excuse me, he's the fastest pitcher to do it in a single season since 1893. And the reason it's since 1893 is because that's when they moved the mound to 60 feet 6 inches from the plate.
That's really interesting. I did not know that.
So Spencer Strider has done it in 61 innings. Jacob deGrom has done it twice. He did it 61 and 2/3 innings and 63 innings. Shane Bieber did it in 62 and 1/3 innings. Corbin Burns did it in 62 and 2/3. And Max Scherzer has also done it in 63 innings. Reached 100 strikeouts in a single season. Spencer Strider is now the fastest in the history of Major League Baseball to do it.
It's crazy. It's like we talked about, was it Thursday night, about how Spencer Strider just strikes everybody out, and he continues to.
Complete. He's automatic, man.
Yeah. Doesn't skip leg day, doesn't skip feet day.
No.
Biggest legs, biggest feet. So his feet make him look like he's like 5'6". He's 6 feet tall. I bet that dude wears like a size 16 shoe.
It's true.
Like
he does look small.
40-inch thighs.
yeah. As big as your head.
Bigger.
Yeah. All right. Brad, why don't you give us a fantasy update? And then I got some really interesting stuff I want to talk about concerning tickets prices around the league.
Okay. So we are on, let's see here. We just finished week 8. Okay.
Yeah.
Guess who's on? Not a streak. 2 in a row. I'm on 2 in a row. Okay.
You did. Wait a minute. Every time I say 2 in a row is a streak, you climb my frame.
That's what I said. That's what I said.
Hold on.
Not a streak. It's 2 in a row.
But
not a streak.
Hold on. What has to be acknowledged here is that you wanted to call it a streak
because I want to be on a winning streak, Brig.
In your heart of hearts, you know that 2 should be a streak, Brad. It's not. It's not, but it should be.
If Lou Brown said it was a streak, that would be a streak. But he said that it's called 2 in a row.
Blue Brown.
So it's not a streak.
Yeah,
right. Okay. Can I give the fantasy update now, Brig?
Please.
I'm on 2 in a row.
You're on a streak, bro.
Julio, think you are.
You're
Beat
on a
Devastation
roll.
Incorporated. Mike, our listener participant. I won 568 to 544. My top performer was Polar Bear Pete Alonso, 62 points. His top performer was Spencer Steer with the Reds. Look out for the Reds, man. In that week division, look out. Spencer Steer had 101 points. So, yeah, like I said, I won 2 in a row.
Man.
So, there's that. Anyway, next down we have Big League Chupacabra. That is Jewel. And you, Brig or Mortis. Jewel on this one, 597 to 531. It seemed like it was a lot closer than that, wasn't it?
It was so close. I think I know what he did. And I think I applaud him for his efforts, but he's putting
Did he make some late changes?
Yeah, he's putting a lot into this, and I think it's really cool. I just don't care enough to do it.
I've actually the last 2 weeks put a lot more effort into my roster, and I think that's why I'm winning. Anyway.
Yeah.
So his top performer was Lamont Wade Jr. with 69 points. Nice. And Brig, yours was Ty France with 86. Ty France is coming around despite having thought that he exploded his wrist with a hit by pitch.
Bro, that was scary.
You're telling me. Had Sam Haggerty playing first base. That dude's like 5.5 feet tall and fast. He's not a first baseman. He is the exact opposite of what a first baseman should be.
Correct.
Anyway, our next matchup, we had not another fantasy team. That's Jason and Burns Turner Overdrive. That's Tori. They are the hosts of the Philly Baseball Together podcast. Tori won this one 581 to 509. Tori's top performer was Salvi Perez with 65 points. And Jason's was Andrew Vaughn of the White Sox with 87 points. Last one we have here, Grace Under Fire, is Denise. She's the host of the North Chicago podcast. And Harrisburg Charlie's, that's John. Denise really took it to John on this one. I don't know if John is doing his roster these days. It might just be sitting. Denise won
Possible.
447 to 282. Her top scorer was Freddie Freeman with 78 points, and John's was Vlad Guerrero Jr. the third with 52 points. As far as records go, I am 3-5. Mike is 5-3. Jewel is on top of the whole thing at 7-1. Brig, you're 4-4. Jason is 5-3. Tori is 2-6. Denise is 5-3, and John is the basement dweller at 1-7. There you have
Thanks,
our
John.
Week 8 update. He's the
All right,
ace.
baseball family. Here's the deal. You want to go to a baseball game, right? You say to yourself, and you wonder, where should I go? And aside from geography, which is probably the decision you'll use, the point you'll use to make the decision, if you were interested, like I was, to know about ticket prices across the league, I'm going to give a major shout out to Jordan Mendoza, writer for USA Today. He wrote a terrific article explaining the average prices of Major League Baseball tickets league-wide and the cheapest ones, where they are and why. So if you want to check it out, it's on USA Today. He does a great job. However, I'm going to break down some of it with all the props to him. Across Major League Baseball, the average cheapest ticket, is $11. $11, Brad.
That's pretty cheap. Yeah, I like that.
How many stadiums do you think have tickets at $6 or less?
$6 is really cheap.
Bro.
So I wonder if they count the free kids tickets, because like the Diamondbacks do for their kids club, you get a free kid ticket on Sunday with the purchase of an adult, of like a regular ticket.
No,
So
these are
there's
tickets that you
These
have
are
to
actual.
buy.
These are actual tickets.
These are tickets you buy.
With $6 or less, I'm going to say two.
Two stadiums. You think two stadiums?
Two.
You're
with
wrong.
6 or less. Dazzle
You're
me,
wrong.
Brig.
10 stadiums across Major
10?
League Baseball will
Does
let
it
you
give
in
them? Does
for
it list them?
$6 or less. It does. For $6, you can get into Coors Field in Denver, Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City, and American Family Field in Milwaukee. For $5, Brad, you
no
can
wonder
get
that
into...
stadium's gone in disrepair. They're not charging anybody admission. Have any money to make repairs.
For $5, you can get into see a Marlins game. You can see a Mets game. You can see the Cardinals play. And you can see the Blue Jays play for $5. But that's not all. For $4, Brad, you can get into the Angels Stadium, Yankee Stadium, and Oracle Park in San Francisco.
Is that standing room only at Yankee Stadium?
These are seats.
I can't believe you can get in the door at Yankee Stadium for less than $50, honestly, much less $4.
It's interesting that you bring that up. Do you know why that is?
I have no idea. Why? Like, how does that work? Why?
It comes down to availability of tickets. Yankee Stadium holds 46,537 seats.
Okay.
Their average attendance is 39,618 per game per year. So that's, a number of thousands of seats that go unsold, which is why, because of supply and demand, they have so many seats that they just got to get sold. So they're willing to put corner seats and less appealing seats in the upper deck, etc.
I'll sit anywhere for $4.
$4
sit on the roof.
You
$4,
right.
and I don't like heights.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What else do you do for $4, Brad?
We'll talk later.
Yeah. So thank you. That's for the bullpen cut, baseball family. If you want to know what Brad will do for $4, you got to get on Patreon and support the show. That's where you get the unedited and uncut version of the show. It's available to all patrons, regardless of how much you spend. It's $1, $5, $10, $15, and $500 a month of support, and the bullpen cut, where we will find out what Brad will do for $4, will be available there. Let's get back to tickets. All right. Here's the deal. How many stadiums do you think you can get into for $11 or less that we have not already covered?
So there's 10 for $6 or less, right?
Yeah.
I'll go another
Let's do this.
7 then.
Let's do this. How about for $24, between $24 and $11?
Okay. I'll say 7.
6 to 11. So
7,
okay,
because
it's 11.
24
It's
is still
11.
It's 11 more stadiums.
11 teams will let you in the door with a seat for $24 or less. And then you add the 10 we already talked about. That's 21.
So you can get into 21 stadiums for under $24.
Out of 30. Here are the teams you can get into for $24 or less. You can go see the Cleveland Baseball Club for $24. You can see the Dodgers play for $24. You can get into Fenway for $22. You can get into the Astros Minute Maid Park for $18. Texas Rangers at Globe Life, the new one, $16 a seat. The Phillies at Citizen Bank, $15. The Trop, nobody wants to go there. You can get it in for $15. Wrigley, $14. Guaranteed Rate Field, which is where the White Sox play on the south side of Chicago, $13. Truist Park has the cheapest tickets at $11. In Pittsburgh, PNC Park, $11.
I can't believe they're charging that much at the Trop with that many empty seats.
That's what
I
saying.
I know they have a good team, so they can I guess they can up a little bit, but with that many empty seats, you got to drop those prices a little bit.
Now, this does not factor in the average price. Okay, the average price
this is the bottom.
of
This is
a
the lowest
ticket.
price.
This is the cheapest you can get. The average ticket price for Yankee Stadium's tickets are $174. Okay, that's the average price. Now you can go and buy a $1,000 seat behind home plate, sit in the cushy armchair, all the food is paid for, etc. That's $1,000 or better, depending on who they're playing, etc. Right?
Right. Yeah. No. This is definitely the bottom rung. You're sitting in right field, up at the top,
in the corner, behind the pole.
Bring your binoculars. Yeah. All of it.
John Sterling in your ears because you can't hear anything else, for sure. but baseball
even the PA
family
is like, nobody.
Number
2. You say number 2?
Number 2.
Oh, it took that long for the sound to travel. My goodness. Derek Jeter's last at bat.
It took years.
There's a science joke for you, Brig.
Oh, that's baseball, Susan. That's awesome. So, baseball family, before we take our break, I want you to know that if you have access to a Major League Baseball facility and you've been worried about ticket prices, it has never been cheaper to go to a ball game than it is right now. Get yourself to the ballpark. In recent history, take your family to the ballpark. Take your friends to the ballpark because you can do it for cheap. My daughter and I got into Busch for $24 a piece last summer, and it was awesome. We got into Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Terrific experience. One of the most beautiful ballparks I've ever been in my life. It was wonderful.
Awesome.
All right, with that, baseball family, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to play 2 of our new favorite games. The first one is going to be Panic or Patience.
Welcome back, baseball family. We're going to come in and play one of our new favorite games that we started this season, Panic or Patience, and then we'll get into Contender Pretender later. But for now, Panic or Patience. So what we'll do is, if you didn't join us last month, is we're going to go through and talk about some of the teams at the bottoms of their divisions, see if they should be panicking or continue to have patience late in May. Now, remember, they always say you can't win a division in April or May, but you can certainly lose it.
You can lose.
So I'm beginning to wonder if these teams are getting to the point where they've lost their division or their chance at a playoff spot without being mathematically eliminated yet. So, Brig, are you ready for this?
Oh, I love this game. Go ahead.
Good. All right, here we go. Let's start with the Phillies. The Phillies are an interesting team. They went to the World Series last year, and they brought in Trey Turner. It was like, oh, that's the piece they need, but he's not been good. The Phillies have been worse, 25-28 going into Monday. Their last 10, they're 5-5 at this point, end of May, is it panic or patience for the Phillies?
Patience. I'm saying patience, and I'm saying because of Brother Harper. I want to see what he does at the helm for just a little bit longer, and then we will know. That's
Okay.
my. If it wasn't for him, if I knew he wasn't coming back or whatever, it's over. Panic.
So yeah, I'm gonna say patience as well, just because we saw them make a late run last year, right? Like they didn't have a great start last year, then they fired Girardi, Philly Rob took over, and then they took off, right? They could still flip to the next year because they have too much talent on that team to not capitalize on a balanced schedule, to not capitalize on playing some really bad teams like the Rockies and come back and storm back. And I know it's not the Mets on top of the East right now. It's
No,
it's the Braves.
it's the Braves. Yeah.
But they could still and in fact they're looking up at the Marlins right now as well.
Right?
So but my thing though is that like how much of what the Marlins are doing is sustainable? How much of what anybody else, like how much of what the Diamondbacks is doing is sustainable? Like is that last playoff spot, like that last wild card spot still up for grabs, and could they streak and get it? I think they could. Have a little bit of patience, a little bit longer, maybe through the middle of June, middle of June. I wouldn't give them to the break. I might start making
No.
moves.
Yeah,
Middle of
we
June.
need to see. Yeah, something needs to
Couple more
give
weeks. If
before
guys start to
July
click,
1st.
if
Yeah.
guys start to click, then you're good. But until then, if nobody clicks middle of June, you got to start making some moves with somebody.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I agree.
all right, let's stick in the NL East. Speaking of the Mets are currently 27-27 going into Monday. In their last 10, they're 6-4, but they didn't show out well. I think it was against the Rockies. They didn't play nearly as well against them as I thought they would. Like I said, the
Yeah.
Rockies are not a good team.
No.
So are you panicking or are you having patience with the Mets, Brig?
I don't know. I don't know. The problem is there shouldn't be any holes.
Mm-hmm.
There just shouldn't be. But
I
there
feel
are.
it's kind of the same thing, right? With the Phillies, where they've got too much talent to be this bad, to be a 500 team.
Yeah.
And it's like once guys start clicking, they'll be fine. And so maybe it's patience through the middle of June again. Kind of the same treatment you give the Phillies. But
Yeah,
I don't
but I'm
know.
panicking a little bit inside as a Mets fan.
Well, just because
I'm
you've seen the song and
panicking.
dance before, right?
Right, exactly. I'm panicking because of talent, and I'm panicking on maybe some cohesion problems or whatever. But again, with the balanced schedule, I don't know, man. I'm worried. I'm not ready to hit the panic button, but I'm worried. We should go in between. Can I have an in betweener on this one?
You get one in betweener. If you want this to be
Oh,
your
if
one in
this is
between,
the
you can
let me
have it.
look at the lineup. Is this the only in between I want? Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Yeah, this is the one I want. I know what I want to say about the rest of them.
Okay, it's your one in betweener.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks. You get one too,
All
by
right.
the way.
All right. We'll see. No, I like I said, a couple more weeks of patience with the Mets just because of the talent. But it is weird because Buck Showalter did come out. And he's like, I don't like Pete Alonso swearing on the field.
Right.
Okay,
And get
weird.
off his lawn.
Yeah, I think it's funny he has issues with him swearing, but not his pelvic thrusting celebration.
Right?
Apparently, so
Mm, that's a
it's
lewd,
odd
crude, bad dude.
to say the least. All right,
Yeah.
on to the NL Central. We have one team in the NL. We got two. We got two teams
Yeah.
in the NL Central here. Here we go. Let's talk about the Cardinals.
Okay.
24-32. In their last 10, they're 5-5. Panic or patience with you, Brig?
Panic.
Long time ago, panicking
Panic.
with the
No.
Cardinals.
No, I'm panicked.
Yeah, definitely. I honestly think it's a managerial move is what
I was
solves
just
the
gonna say
problem there.
that. It's all about Marmol. The guy's gotta go.
He does. He's got to go for
Got
sure.
to go.
All right, and the other central team that we have is the Pirates, 26-27. In their last 10, they're 3-7.
That's bad.
That is bad. Are you having patience or are you panicking?
Patience, baby. Patience. I like what's going on there. It's okay to hit a bad streak of 10 games. No big deal. It's all right, man. Just ride this one out. You're going to be all right.
I'm having patience, but for a different reason. My
Okay?
reason I'm having patience is because there were no expectations coming into this season. It's
For
like,
real.
we had a really good start. Let's see if we can get some magic back in the bottle here in a couple of weeks, going into the
Yeah.
All-Star break.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. We weren't
Listen,
supposed
they're
to win
only
the division, and the division's bad. The division's
bad.
bad.
Yeah. They're only 2 games behind. They're in second place. It's fine.
Boom.
It's
Exactly.
fine. Everything's fine.
And the Brewers
There's
have not been
nothing to
much better.
There's nothing to panic about. There's every reason to celebrate if you're in Pittsburgh. So
Yep,
hoist the flag, everybody.
that's right. Absolutely right. All right, let's go to the NL West. Over to the Padres, 24 and 29 overall, and in their last 10, they're 4 and 6. You are
Panicking.
big time, and so
Oh
are they
man.
because they brought in Gary Sanchez.
Yeah, this is oh man. They're not just hovering over the panic button. Somebody is sitting on it. This is
Kidding.
they've got an intern hired just to sit on the panic button right now. I'm
Yes.
telling you.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because like they're preaching patience. They're just like, oh yeah, we'll get it sorted
No.
out. We'll get it figured out. It'll be fine. We got a lot of talent here. Machado's on the IL. We'll be all right. We'll be all right. No, you've got so much talent that with Machado on the IL, you should still be winning 7 out of every 10 games.
Yep.
Like there is something going on there that ain't
Yep.
right.
It's not right. Bad news
Yeah,
bears,
so,
I'm telling you.
yeah. Do you think they'll like if the Padres are not in the mix come trade deadline, right? End of July. Like if nothing looks like it's sorted out and headed in the right direction, do you think they'll start selling off guys?
Nope. No. They
They're
will
gonna
not.
hold. They're gonna hold
They're
on
gonna
to him till the
hold.
bitter end.
They're gonna hold all their cards, bro, and they're gonna use this off season as a chance to run diagnostics. They're gonna go into spring training next year and figure it out, and then they'll decide by the All-Star break next season. But this one,
Okay.
they're gonna let this one fly if they need to.
Okay. All right. Okay. Let's head over to the American League AL East. Got the Red Sox. 28 and 25 is not bad, but it is bad enough to be in 4th place in the AL East. Out of 5 for those of you keeping track at home.
No, they're 5th place, aren't they? In 5th place?
They're 4th. The Blue Jays are at the bottom by half
Well,
a
that
game.
must have just switched. That just changed then.
Oh, okay. All right, then that's
Yeah.
current as
Okay.
of right now.
Whatever. Yeah. Okay. When I updated this, that was not the case, but now we're
Okay.
good.
All right, so you got the Red Sox in 4th place. They are 5 and 5 in their last 10. Are you having patience or are you panicking with the Red Sox?
Panicking. And I'll tell you why. It's because they are in the AL East. If they were anywhere else, it would be a total patient situation. But at the way things are going in the AL East, I don't care if you win 10 out of your last 10, they're still 9.5 games back, and they're not going to win 10 out of every 10. They just can't do it.
Right.
So I'm telling you, it's panic time. But they're not gonna panic. They're gonna hold their cards as well. They're gonna maybe make one sneaky little move at the deadline. It's gonna be an appeal to the fan base to show that they're trying, and it's gonna be a wash. I don't have any faith in Boston this year, and I really enjoy that because I'm a Yankees fan. But at the same time, like practically, like as a baseball fan, I'm not watching the Red Sox and wondering when they're going to break out and come, for the 3rd place or 2nd place. So I'm just not worried about it.
Right. I feel the same way. I would be panicking for them as well if I was them
Yeah.
as well because of everything you just said. They're in the AL East. They would be sitting half a game back in the AL Central.
Totally.
Which would be no problem at all. But in the AL East, it's uber competitive. But they're not necessarily going to do anything. Like to this point, I feel like they've overachieved.
I think so. Yeah.
So
if they maintain where they're at, if they can even end up in 3rd place in the AL East, that will have been a success on the season.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely
Mhm.
agree. Okay, how about the Blue Jays, who are, as of right now, sitting in last place at 28 and 26? Their last 10 is ugly, 3 and 7. Panic or patience, Brig?
I gotta go with Panic.
Yeah. Did you watch them against the Rays last week?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, they made him look foolish. Like,
bro.
real bad.
Yeah.
Like, this was the thing. This was the thing that I like. One of my big takeaways with the way that the Rays just took it to the Blue Jays last week. And I know the Blue Jays put up 20 on them. A broken clock is right twice a day, right? Like, no big deal.
Yeah, right.
As far as the Rays go. But one thing that they were doing is that they were stealing bases at will. They were stealing, the bases were stolen before the pitcher even moved to the plate. Especially Alek Manoah, they got to the point where they realized he was not checking the runner. So, like, he's waiting till the pitch clock is at 3 to throw his pitch. They're gone with like 5 seconds left because they know he's not saying anything, or they know that he doesn't know. So they're already halfway to second base by the time the pitch is thrown. So they got some issues to fix out, and the fact that nobody said anything.
Yeah.
That maybe nobody was calling runner to have him step off. I don't know. Managerial issues there. I don't know. It's odd. It's bad.
Very
I
odd.
think things could potentially get a lot worse before they get better there.
Yeah, I can see that. I totally agree with you.
Okay, the Mariners. Let's go. No, we're not going to go to the Mariners yet. Let's go to the AL Central first.
Okay.
Cleveland's baseball team, 24 and 29. In their last 10, they are 4 and 6. Are you panicking or are you having patience?
Patience.
Tell me why.
Tito.
There you go.
I know I keep giving it back to Tito, but I really do have all the faith in the world in that guy. They're only 3.5 games back in their division. They're in third place. It's the easy division. And if the Tigers can be ahead of you right now, you're going to be okay.
Yeah, you're probably right. You're right there.
That's
so I am going to say panic right now. And the reason I say panic has nothing to do with the division, has nothing to do with the record necessarily. It's because of that minus 33 run differential. That is a problem because they don't score runs. I mean, I understand you can have great pitching. You got Bieber and you got McKenzie, right? Like you've got really good pitchers on that team. But I've seen it in Seattle. It doesn't matter how good your pitching is if you can't score runs. You're going to lose 1-0, 2-0 games a ton. It's going to happen. Totally. And you've got to figure out a way to score runs. And I understand last year, oh, well, we don't hit home runs. We just manufacture runs. Okay, but you cannot, then today's game, you cannot rely solely on manufacturing runs. You've got to be able to hit the long ball to some degree to win because your opponent can hit the long ball and put up a bunch of runs in a hurry. And then you're going to be in trouble no matter how good your pitching is.
Yep.
Because your pitching can't score runs. That's the difference with baseball, is that defense cannot convert points.
It's true.
And by that, I mean runs, obviously.
Right. But yeah.
Because in basketball, your defense can turn into a fast break. Football, defense can literally score points, but it does not happen in baseball. So you've got to have offense. You've got to be able to hit home runs in today's game. And the Guardians don't do that. That's why I've got to say panic. They've got to make a move. They've got to bring in a big bat, somebody who can hit home runs. Even if they have one guy who it's okay, every other game he's going to give, or every few games he's going to give us one to keep us in it. You got to have it.
Is there anybody in the transaction DFA cycle that we went through you think they could bring on as a DH guy for that role specifically, or to give Josh Naylor a spell at first base here and there for switching it out?
Maybe Luke Voigt. I could see Tito keeping him in line, right?
I could. Yeah.
Might be good for him.
That's what I was just thinking.
And I think that he's kind of a player's manager where he might be able to just be like, just go out and do your thing, right?
Totally.
Might be able to help him find a good spot mentally. Maybe Luke Voigt's the guy. I don't know.
That'd be cool. I'd like to see that for Luke, actually. That'd be really neat.
All right. Should we head over to the West now?
We have to.
Okay. Mariners, 28 and 25. In their last 10, 7 and 3. The A's certainly helped with that number. I will tell you that right now. 4 games against Oakland in that mix. Are you having panic or are you having patience?
I'm going to say patience, but I got about 3 minutes until I'm going to hit that middle of the road worry button again. I think that when their team is healthy and clicking, that's the problem. They have to be healthy and clicking. Then things are okay. They're not great, but they're okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think they need things to be great right now. They just need things to be okay. If they ended the season in second place, it might be enough.
Yeah, probably.
So for that reason, I'm going to say patience. The problem is clicking is harder than healthy. And, there are things you can do actively and aggressively to get healthy. There's not a lot you can do to get everybody clicking and on the same page all the time. That's the hard part.
Yeah. So if you had talked to me last week, if you'd asked me this last week, I would have said worried.
Right.
But in this last week, a lot of guys have gotten right. Julio
Yeah.
Rodriguez is looking like himself again, finally.
Yeah.
Right? Slow starter. Teoscar Hernandez is not swinging quite so much out of the zone, not chasing quite so much. Not as bad. The issue, I think, in Seattle right now is Colton Wong, oddly enough. Like, I was really excited they brought him on because he's a gold glover. Really solid bat. Haven't gotten anything out of him at all.
Yeah.
And so I worry about a disgruntled veteran in that clubhouse. He's my worry, right? That I keep just being like, you know what, it's time to cut bait. You gotta move him. You gotta get rid of him. $10 million for the year, eat it if that's what it takes. Because I bet you get that guy out of the locker room and things turn around. Because I'm gonna go to basketball here for just a second. In Portland, you would see the Trailblazers. One of the problems they had, and this happened twice in my lifetime that I know of. They brought in veterans to be leadership, but those veterans got sick of being on a team that wasn't living up to expectation, whether it was because of talent or just because there wasn't the cohesion. But what those guys did, well, this came out in an article at one point, was they'd go to the younger guys and they'd be like, look, you're not getting the playing time you deserve here. They're not treating you right. Whether they were or they weren't was neither here nor
poisoning
there.
the water hole.
They were poisoning the water hole, exactly right. And I worry a little bit about a disgruntled Colton Wong. I don't know anything about him personally, right? Like whether that is something he would or wouldn't do. But I heard about guys in Portland who I didn't think would do that, who did just that thing.
Right.
So anybody could do it. Anybody could get disgruntled and could go to a Taylor Trammell like, man, you need to get your reps. You should be getting your reps. You should be out there DHing every single day. That's why you're not hitting. Right? Like, that's your job. They should be giving you that job. Like, Pollock's not doing it. That's a Taylor Trammell job right there. And then he's like, yeah, you're right. You're right. I should be DHing every day. And then he goes out there. He gets a chance once a week to hit. He doesn't. And he's like, golly, I just need my reps. And he's disgruntled. And then it spreads throughout the clubhouse. Because that's the problem. That's what it feels like is going on in Seattle, is that there's a little bit of poison in the well. And it could be spreading because things don't look the way they should or don't look the way they did last year. And which is odd to say, but got a couple guys coming back who I think will really help with that situation. I think there's about to be a resolution to the Colton Wong issue soon because Dylan Moore's coming back. But anyway, that's a long-winded answer of saying I'm having patience with the Mariners.
It's your baby. It's okay. Yeah, that's awesome.
It's been so crazy to watch this team this year so far. Just like, what's going on? What's the problem? But no, patience with the Mariners for now. So,
I feel
okay, let's take a break. When we get back, we're going to go in and talk about contenders and pretenders.
All right, baseball family, welcome back to the third and final segment of this week's show. That was my radio host voice, and I will not be doing that again. We are going to get us into the contender or pretender segment of the show. We're going to go down the list. We're going to give you division races. We're going to talk about how many games back teams are, and we're going to discuss whether or not these teams have a shot at the playoffs and why. Brad, let's just start at the top.
Okay.
AL East. Baltimore is 34-20. They are 6-4 in their last 10. Second place in the division behind the Rays, and that is 4 games back. Are they contenders or pretenders?
I think they're contenders. I think they've been steady enough for long enough that we can make them contenders. And the fact that they're only 4 games back of the Rays, pretty good.
Pretty good. Side note, do you think they're the best team in baseball, Tampa Bay?
Tampa Bay is the best team in baseball?
Do you think they are, yes or no?
That's tough. Because they have the potential to be, but they have some warts. That's tough. I don't know that the Orioles will ever catch them, even though 4 games is not very many, right? So far, this is what I'll say. Will the Rays be the best team in baseball at the end? I don't think so. But will they be the best regular season team? Probably. I think they're going to be the best. I think they are the best regular season team this year.
Okay.
What about you?
I have an opinion on that. I think that I think at this point Atlanta is probably the best team in baseball overall.
I think it's close. I think it's really close between those two.
I think Tampa Bay is the only other consideration right now.
I need to see a little bit more consistency out of Atlanta for them to be the best team, because they have stretches where you're just like, you lost to who? By how much? What?
That's true.
But like, I know like I said, I know the Rays gave up 20, but still that happens. But like, they could hang 20 just as easily just more easily than they could give it up.
Yeah.
So
I just think that the teams that they've faced. Anyway, let's get on with it. Let's talk about the Yankees. They are 32-23, 7-3 in their last 10. That puts them third place in the AL East, 6.5 games behind the Rays. Are they contenders or pretenders?
If you'd asked me a week ago, I would have said they're potentially pretenders, but I absolutely think they're contenders. I don't care they give up little league home runs, gaffes happen in the field, but they came back and they put up 7 the next inning. So, yeah, no, I think the Yankees are absolutely contenders to make the playoffs. Because caveat, like that's what this is, a contender to make the playoff, not necessarily a contender for the World Series. We'll get there later on another show. But for now, contenders to make the playoffs, absolutely. Yeah.
I agree with you. AL Central, this one's really interesting. The Tigers are 25-27. They're 5-5 in their last 10, puts them second place in the division, 2 games back. Is Detroit pretending, or are they going to be contending?
I don't know that they're necessarily even pretending. I think they're just in a fortuitous circumstance, right? There's like, this division's bad. Okay, right? We're 2 games under 500. That also puts us 2 games back of the division leader. So let's just ride this thing, right? Let's ride this wave. I don't think they're necessarily anything. I don't think they're a contender. I don't think they're a pretender. I think they're just sitting in a good spot in their division is all. Honestly, like, so I think they'll fall off and they won't be surprised.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. But I think it's interesting because now we have to talk about Cleveland's ball club like we did a minute ago. But because they're 24-29, 4-6 in their last 10, third place in that same division, and 3.5 games behind the Twins. Are they pretenders, or do you think they have a chance at the playoffs?
So it's funny. It's funny because of that division, because I don't buy in on the Twins a ton, right?
Right.
So I've got to say that because Cleveland has the potential to catch the Twins, I've got to make them contenders despite panicking, right?
Yeah.
Right. And saying, we need a bat. But the reason we need a bat is because we're contenders in the division. If they weren't contenders, if they were pretenders, then I would be like, nah, patience, whatever. You don't need to fill that spot. But because there's the potential is there to catch the Twins, absolutely. Like, that's why I say they're contenders. In the division, in the playoffs, no, they're not going anywhere. But in the division, certainly.
Right. They're going to get to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yep. Okay. AL
Hold on. What about you, though, Brig? What do you think with Cleveland? Contender or pretender?
Cleveland's contending. Yeah, they'll make it to the playoffs, I think. That's how I feel. Okay. Thanks for catching me. I forgot about my having an opinion. The AL West is fascinating, in case you haven't been paying attention. It is cuckoo for the proverbial Cocoa Puffs, okay? The Texas Rangers lead the division by 3 games right now. They're 34-19. And I didn't put them on here but I needed to. The Rangers are 34-19, 8-2 in their last 10. They lead the AL West. Are they contenders, or is this a facade?
I want it to be a facade, like, so bad, right?
Yeah, you do.
So bad. But really, I don't feel like they've played a really tough schedule yet.
Is that what it is?
I think that's what it is. I don't want to call them pretenders because they're winning the games they're supposed to, right?
Indeed.
But at the same time, though, like I've got to say Contenders just because they're there, until they fall off. They've got the best offense in baseball. Their pitching has been holding up its end of the bargain for the most part.
Well, Nate Eovaldi has been holding up his end of the bargain. Okay, let's be
Right?
honest.
Yeah. They did drop 2 or 3 to the Braves
Yeah,
recently.
I
They
don't think
took
Nate
2.
pitched any of those.
They took 2 out of 3 from the Orioles, though. So like that's the thing is, I'm going to say Contenders just because they're there, and until they fall off, I think we have to include that team as Contenders.
I don't think they're going to fall off.
You don't think so?
Mm-mm. And I did not expect my prophecy to be fulfilled this early. I thought it would be
Right.
next season.
Yeah.
I did. So I'm very excited. And they're doing it all without DeGrom, which is freaking crazy, but so fun.
It is.
It's fun. It's a good day to be a Texas Rangers fan right now. Okay, let's move down because the Astros are a big question mark in a lot of people's minds, not so much in others. The Astros sit at 31-22, 7-3 in their last 10. They're number 2 in the division, 3 games behind the Rangers. Do you think they're pretending, or are they going to contend?
This one is equally as hard because we talked last year about the issues the Astros had. They were fortunate that those issues didn't cause major problems. Those issues are causing major problems this year. That they don't get a lot of guys on base, they don't get a lot of hits, they rely a whole lot on the home run. They play in a stadium where that's fine, right?
Yeah.
Today, though, despite a Jose Altuve grand slam late in the game, they ended up losing in extra innings,
right,
to a team that they should have beat.
And they're 14-12 at home. So even when they're hitting bombs at home, they're barely above 500 at home.
Yeah.
They play better away.
I would have thought that the Astros would be better. Like 7-3 in their last 10 is really good, but I still would have thought they'd had a better May than they did. I can't say pretenders though because of the defending champs. You've got to keep them as contenders, especially at 31-22. They won 10 games in a row a couple weeks ago. So
no, I think they're for real. I don't know how deep into the playoffs they would end up, but I think they're going to make it to the playoffs.
Well, and the thing too, like I honestly they're going to contend for the division. They're going to contend for a playoff spot, but I wouldn't be surprised if, like I said, that ugly thing that they can't do reared its head at the end of the season because teams had them figured out, because that's kind of where it's headed.
I agree with you. Now we got to talk about Seattle really quick. Do you think they're contending or pretending?
I have to say contending just because I know the potential for this team. And it's obviously it's a homer pick. I understand that, but I know the potential for this team. I know who they have and what they have. Got to make a move for one guy, but I think they're contenders for the division for sure. Definitely a wild card spot.
6 games back right now. Okay, let's move over to the National League. Starting in the East, let's talk about the Marlins. We already did a little bit, but they're 28-26, 5-5 in their last 10. Second place in the division and 4 games behind the Braves. Are they contending or pretending?
They're pretending. They got a lot of firepower. They'll hit a lot of home runs, but their pitching is not good. They have a couple of good pitchers, but their bullpen's not good.
Yeah. 100% agree with you. They're totally pretending. But the New York Mets are exactly 500 right now. They're sitting at 27-27, 6-4 in their last 10. Third place, 5 games behind the Braves. Are they pretenders, or do you think they'll contend for a playoff spot?
I gotta say that they'll contend. It's just a talent thing, right? They have to contend, because I don't see them. Because the only other option to me is if they're pretenders, you blow it up, tear it all down at the trade deadline. And I don't see that happening. So they've got to contend. They've got to be contenders.
Okay, so if the Marlins are faking it, and the Mets are all but deserving of at least a contention vote, then what does that mean for the Phillies? Because the Phillies are 25-28, 5-5 in their last 10. This puts them in 4th place. They're 6.5 games behind the Braves.
So the way the Phillies are playing, you can't call them contenders, right? I don't
No,
feel like
you
I can't
can't.
call them a contender right now. I don't even feel like you can call them a pretender right now because they're not pretending to be anything but maybe bad. I don't know.
Yeah,
If they're
it's very
pretending to be bad, does
strange.
that make them a contender?
I don't know.
I don't know. It's a manic
They're not
Monday,
even
Brig.
at 500 right now.
No. No. Do I think they'll contend later? They ought to.
They,
Will they? I don't know.
yeah, I don't know. Is that our big question mark goose egg
I think that's
for
our
the
big
segment?
I think that's our big question mark for the
That's
segment.
our yeah. The National League Central's fascinating. Pittsburgh 26-27. They're 3-7 in their last 10. Second place, 2 games back. That's behind the Brew Crew,
Mhm.
who might also be pretending. We don't know. But do you think Pittsburgh is pretending or contending?
I'm going to stay with Contenders with them just because of the division that they're in. They hit a rough patch. That happens. Everybody's going to hit one. It's better to hit it in May than to hit it in
Yeah.
August or September. So they got it. It's a good team. It's a good team
Yeah.
despite it. I mean, this is the thing that I've decided is that Rich Hill, for some reason, needs to pitch at night.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Oh,
don't know if he
yeah.
needs to like go watch Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune before he goes out there, if like that's a thing. But
Get
he
his
pitches
wheatgrass
better at night.
shots. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because he's better at night than he is during the day. But he's
Yeah.
been really good. He's been pretty good for them, despite
I
being
agree.
over the hill.
Okay, so we know the Brewers, basically you could make the same argument for the Brew Crew, but what does that mean for Cincinnati? Because they're in third place right now and they're only 4 games back, 5-5 in their last 10. They're 24-29, which is terrible, but as far as the division goes in the NL Central, it's serviceable at this point.
It is
And how is
serviceable.
that possible?
They just swept the Cubs, by the way.
I know. I
Um,
know.
they're pretenders, though. They're not going to win anything. Like they might even like I saw that they might be shopping Jonathan India.
Whoa, seriously?
That's what the Twitterverse is saying. I don't know if it's true because I wouldn't be if I were them. But if I'm Seattle, I'm giving them pretty much whatever they want for him because you need a second baseman.
Yeah.
Because I
Wow.
love me some Jonathan India.
Dude's
Big time.
awesome. Dude is
Yeah.
great.
Yep.
Okay, let's talk to the NL West. This is to me, this is the most fascinating thing in the world. Because somehow the Dodgers are only 1 game up. The D-backs are in second place in the National League West. Hold on, Taylor Duke, listen to me. The D-backs are in second place behind the Dodgers, trailing by a game. I know it's May, but 1 game, okay? They are 31-23. They are 6-4 in their last 10. Brad, are these guys faking it, or do you think they're actually going to go to the playoffs?
That's tough, man. It's tough because the last little stretch that they've had where they've been playing really good ball. Lourdes Gurriel Jr. had like a 16-game hit streak that just got broken a couple days ago. One thing I think that the Diamondbacks are really good at is beating teams they're supposed to. They have a hard time beating the teams above them.
Mm-hmm.
So will they contend for a wild card spot? Yes. Will they contend for the division? No. Are they pretenders? No. I'm not going to say they're pretenders. Like they've got talent. We said at the beginning of the season that team has got talent. We just didn't think that they would hit this year, right? We were like, oh, they'll be pests, they'll be 500 team, but no, that talent has clicked already, and I think they'll contend for a wild card spot.
That's exactly how I feel. And this is the exuberant face I have to bring to the party. Like it's really cool.
And you know what? I'm excited to have good baseball played in town because in the offseason, I was like, I want them to be bad because it'll be easy to get tickets. But no, I'm going to get to go watch really good baseball when I go to games this summer. So I'm excited for that. It'll be fun.
It's true. As long as your Gold Glove caliber players don't get ejected for celebrating umpires making great calls, you'll be fine. Okay, so and this has happened a lot, and we're going to wrap it up in a minute. But my favorite thing about all of this game that we play is the implications for everyone else, right? The Padres get a ton of juice from the media and from Major League Baseball and from their fan base that's super active, and it's wonderful. The Giants are kind of quiet, but the Giants are like three games above the freaking Padres right now. The Giants are in third place. They're only 4 games behind the Dodgers at 28-26, 7-3 in their last 10. I think they're faking it. I think they're pretending. I think the best thing they have going for him is Gabe Kapler, and he should not be doing much beyond being some sort of like cover model of something, but he's really good at that. I don't know what else he's good at. I saw this TikTok the other day. It was so funny. It was a woman explaining dugouts. She said, I think I sent it to you. She was like, the dugouts have steel poles and they're wrapped in padding, and that's to protect
And
the
they like to
players.
stand up at the top, and they can come out and they can talk. It's a good place to recover.
Sit down in the shade where they can hang out with their friends. But it was every picture was this like smoldering view of Gabe Kapler.
Well, I think at one point she said too, she's like, and you can smolder.
Yeah, she did. I really do think that is the best thing they got going on in San Francisco. I think they're faking.
Yeah, they're pretenders. They don't have. I don't think they have the talent to stick around in that division. It's what they've done so far has been a surprise. I'll give them that, but
true.
Yeah. Because of that, they're pretending.
Okay, so then the immediate implication is San Diego, right? They're 7.5 games back, 24-29 with as much talent as anybody, as big a payroll as anybody, and they've got every expectation in the world, and they're squandering it right now. They're 4-6 in their last 10. They're not even at 500. Are they faking it, Brad? What's going on in San Diego?
Well, it's like, who was it? I said this about the Phillies. They're not contending. The only if they're pretending, the only thing they're pretending to be is bad.
Yeah,
like, and for their sake, I hope that's what it is, pretending to be bad, because
I do too.
They've been that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I agree with you. So
the deficit is not insurmountable, though.
No.
If it clicks, they'll come roaring back.
Oh yeah, and it'll be ugly
for everybody else. Everybody in the way. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Baseball family, what do you think? Do you like our picks? Do you think we're way off the mark? Do you think we're discounting somebody or some team? Or does Gabe Kapler have more going on than just his GQ model opportunities? What do you think? We need to know. Link in the comments. Drop your stuff on social media. We're on TikTok. We're on Instagram sometimes. We're definitely never on the Twitter sphere because it's arduous and nobody cares. And then, but YouTube is where it's at. That's where we post most actively. We're going to interact with the most comments most actively. That's really the place to get all of the stuff. So go ahead and like, subscribe, and comment and everything in the YouTube world that you live in, because that's where we are too.
Absolutely, for sure. And baseball family, don't forget to hop on to ChinookSeedery.com, where you can get the best seeds ever. Use code BTPOD at checkout, save 10%. You will help the show while helping yourself, and it's fantastic. Truly the best seeds ever. I was munching on some smokehouse barbecue the other day and was reminded how fantastic they are and why I have a whole lot of them in my box in my closet, because
that's right.
They're amazing. But baseball family, thank you so much for joining us this week. We will catch you next week.